What is going on, everybody? We have some alchemy rebalances that are going to greatly affect the alchemy and historic format, so let's get into it. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxora, and here we do all things Magic the Gathering. Today there was a big announcement featuring changes coming to Arena in just 2 days. They're going to greatly affect both Alchemy and Historic, and so really excited to get into that. Before we do, if you could leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff would really help me out. Do a ton of Magic content, all things Commander, Arena, all things. So this is the place to be for that kind of stuff. All right, let's get right into these changes. All right, so first up on our list here, we've got a couple of changes to some cards from the sacrifice decks. Cauldron Familiar being a big one. This card was really dominant at being able to just repeatedly be stacked to the Witch's Oven, come back, get its ETB trigger, and just keep doing that over and over. If you were able to do that with multiple cats or multiple ovens, it just got kind of ridiculous. So now it is being nerfed, so it can no longer block. This is a clause, I guess, commonly put on a lot of these graveyard recursion cards. And yeah, this definitely fits here. So this is, this card has always been kind of meh against control decks because a lot of times you can go over the top. But against creature decks, it just kind of stalls out the game, right? They attack you, you block, you sack it to the Witch's Oven, and then it just comes right back. So this not being able to block is a pretty big nerf. Is it going to kill the deck? I'm not sure. My guess is yes. That seems like a pretty substantial nerf. Getting to gain some life against an aggro deck is kind of fine, but yeah, I think this will be a big hit to the deck. Speaking of big hits, this is a really good nerf. This is a card that a lot of people were looking to see nerfed, and that's Meat Hook Massacre. Losing the ability to gain life whenever a creature an opponent controls dies. So now it can just come down and kill some stuff, and then maybe just continuously drain your opponent. So yeah, I think this card was way too strong for what it was. And yeah, really good to do that. And as they say here, it shut down a lot of the creature decks again. So both of these cards combining, it's good that these are being nerfed the way they are. Again, still maintaining their kind of core identity, right? Meat Hook Massacre can still wipe up the board. Cauldron Filler can still come back from the graveyard. They're just a little bit weaker. Now, in my opinion, these are the two biggest ones in terms of the historic metagame. Both Dragon Rage Channeler and Unholy Heat have been the best things to do in the format for quite a while. Getting Delirium was a pretty, achievable endeavor. And Dragon Rage Channeler essentially being a 1-mana 3/3 with flying is a lot. And so it is now being nerfed to only get +2/+0. And the other effects. So it will now, instead of being a 3/3, will just be a 3/1 with flying, and that has to attack. And so this is way more interactable. Again, if you think about it with Unholy Heat, you don't have to have Unholy Heat with Delirium in order to kill a Dragon Rage Channeler with Delirium. So it kind of stops those kind of win more games in a mirror match. Any just kind of ping effect can just strike it down. So yeah, really like that. Again, still kind of maintaining its core functionality of being this 1-mana card that you can play and surveil, fill up your graveyard, and then like become an aggressive attacker. So it still kind of works in the aggressive decks, but I think this is also a pretty big hit. I think this might just eliminate this card. I think it's a little too weak for the historic format at this point. Similarly, Unholy Heat going down from 4 damage to, from 6 damage to 4 damage with the Delirium effect. So still, the front side of it is not changing, still does the 2 damage, but if you have Delirium, only now deals 4 damage, which is a really big nerf. Before you could kill Teferi Time Reveler, or Hero of Dominaria, excuse me, with Unholy Heat. Can't do that anymore. Yeah, it used to kill a lot of big cards. So like Elder Gargaroth was a card that kind of gets shut out by this. Cards like that, not that one specifically, but some cards like it might be able to make a resurgence. And yeah, I think this kind of, I don't know, maybe Unholy is still the kind of the premier kind of 1 mana burn spell for, I guess, non-aggressive decks or decks that don't really care about going face. But I think both of these cards are going to see way less play. They might just be fully eliminated from the format. Makes me a little sad. Again, I really did like these cards, but yeah, they were really strong for quite a while. Maybe they could have had this be 5, right? So then you could still kill Teferi with it, but you can't kill some of the larger creatures. I don't know. All right. On to the next one here in Winota, the Joiner of Forces. So it's being unbanned in Historic, but it's being nerfed to say whenever one or more non-human creatures. So essentially, forget everything else. This now can only trigger once per turn. So really interesting way to kind of reintroduce Winota and see if it is okay. So now it doesn't matter how many creatures you have. If you attack with 3 non-human creatures, you only get 1 trigger. So this still kind of leaves the door open for getting the nuts or whatever of putting something strong into play. And it still is a repeatable effect, right? So you can still attack with your, if you make human tokens and non-human tokens, goblin tokens or whatever, and you attack with them and you have only humans in your deck, it can still be really good in that regard. But that might, be enough to make it okay, right? Only getting 1 thing with it, and then you kill Winota, and then you kill the other thing they get, right? Might make this okay. I'm not sure. I don't think I trust Wizards. I don't think they would do this if it wasn't going to be an okay idea. So yeah. All right, and here's kind of like the big contentious one. Again, I disagree. I don't find this really contentious. But this was a big ban. Let me find the cards that are relevant to this, and then I'll talk about this. All right, so in order to understand why Grinning Ignis needed to be banned in Alchemy and I guess Historic as well, is because of the introduction of this card, Racketeer Boss. So this combined with Grinning Ignis was able to just generate infinite casts of a Racketeer Boss. Infinite casts of Grinning Ignis. So you would on turn 2 play this, give the Grinning Ignis the ability, and then when you would play Grinning Ignis on turn 3, you would generate a treasure, use the treasure to return it to your hand, make 3 mana, do it again, generate another treasure, and so you could do this endlessly. Also, meanwhile, kind of generating some mana. I guess you're not generating mana. But this is important because it also combines well with Berkey to do the exact same thing. So you now have kind of 2 combo pieces that combine very well with Grinning Ignis. One of them allowing you to do it as early as turn 3. So this was way too much for both Alchemy and Historic. I guess, I don't know, not necessarily Historic, but even if it wasn't, it's just better to not have this kind of interaction in the format. And so they decided to ban it, and a lot of people are kind of not happy with this decision because of Alchemy being a format that originally wasn't supposed to have any bans specifically for it. Again, this is not banned in Standard. Important to note, right? Because again, this card is not available in Standard. So they've essentially cited here that they were going to ban it. They were going to rebalance it, but any way they kind of nerf this card essentially either kills the card's playability or it doesn't actively kill the combo, so they just decided to ban it. And I 100% agree with this decision. I think it's really hard to kind of turn any knobs on this card and make it still do what it does, but also still not combo with the other 2 cards that we mentioned. So, and again, I really don't think this card is adding anything to the format, whether it be Alchemy or Historic. I think it's better to just leave it out, and that's it. And as for setting some kind of premise of banning cards in Alchemy, again, I really don't see that as a concern. Yeah, I really don't find that too big of of a a precedent to set. Again, they've only done it once, and this is an extreme circumstance. And as long as they kind of keep doing it that way, I'm not going to comment on any of that. So, all right. So there we go. That's what we got for kind of the nerfs, I guess, or the bans. We've got some buffs here actually in some of the archetypes that aren't seeing as much play. So we've got the stronghold here, which previously added 1 counter and now adds 2 counters. Okay, and they get vigilance and lifelink. Okay, it still doesn't seem good. We've got dueling coach here, which now adds another 2 counters. Was it only 1 before among 1 or 2 creatures? Cost white. Oh, so sorry. Still does the same. I'm confused by this. Was this an increase? In any case, so reduced from white to tap. Oh, interesting. So now instead of it costing 4 mana, it now only costs 1 mana. Interesting. Yeah. So this card, maybe could like do some stuff with adding a bunch of counters to stuff, but it's still really slow. So yeah, again, I still think even with that, it doesn't do much. It's a 4 mana card. Like that still seems pretty weak. Fall of the Imposter. +1/+1 on counter. +1/+1 on counter. Exile a creature with the greatest power among creatures target opponent controls. Interesting. That's actually not horrible. That might actually see some play now. Yeah, 3 mana maybe a little too slow, but for 2 mana, that seems kind of good. Yeah. Gnarlid Colony. So now its kick adds 4 counters instead of 2 mana. So it's a 5 mana 6/6. Interesting. And it also just is a 2/2. That might actually see some play. Maybe. Sigarden Paladin now is being reduced by 1 mana. Its activated ability also is being reduced, but it's now a 4/3 and not a 4/4. Okay, so it says as long as you put 1 or more counters on a creature this turn, it has trample and lifelink on a creature this turn. So it doesn't have to put the counters on itself. That's actually kind of cool. And target creature you control with a counter gains trample and lifelink. Interesting. So you play it and you kind of put counters on other things, and then it gives it gives itself some abilities, then it can give those abilities as well. I kind of like that. I'm kind of liking kind of Fall the Imposter or Sigarden Paladin Colony. Again, I still don't think you put dueling coach in there or this, but some of this seems really good. Haggard Constrictor, just a 2 mana 2/2. Oh, it's being reduced, so it was 3 mana before. Yeah, that seems really weak. 3 mana 2/2. That I guess each creature you control with +++ and counter has menace. So both of these kind of doing something to creatures with counters. So you can maybe have some kind of Abzan or green black or green white deck. Pretty interesting. Tenured Inkcaster, excuse me. Reduced in mana is a 3/3 from a 2/2. Interesting. So kind of very big buff, right? It's being reduced in mana and increasing in power. And when it enters the battlefield, it puts a counter on something, and whenever a creature with a counter on it attacks, you drain them. Interesting. So yeah, it can kind of be like a good go wide deck. You put a lot of counters on stuff, you play this, and you go nuts, and okay. Iridescent Hornbeetle here, also being reduced in mana, getting but reducing a point of toughness here. At the beginning of your end step, you make a 1/1 insect for each current count +1 counter you've put on a creature this turn. So again, another thing that can kind of help you go wide. I think this is a little weak. Triggering at end step is nice. Yeah. Let's see. Mossbit Skeleton returns it to your hand instead of the top of your library now. But I think this card was still just always weak, and that's still not really. I guess it's giving you a card, I guess, at the end step. Different winner creatures are put on your creature you control. Yeah, I guess that's like kind of fine. But again, like a 2-mana 2/2 and like a 5-mana 5/5, even if it recurs, still isn't that good. And it's got no abilities, right? So yeah, no keywords. Skyclave Shadowcat here, going down in mana, and its activation cost also going down. So we've got a 3-mana 3/3 that can pay 1 black, sacrifice another creature, put a counter on it, and then when a creature with a counter on it dies, you draw a card. So this counts itself, right? So if it dies after you activate this, you draw a card. I'm not sure how I feel about that card. If you're putting counters on stuff, you don't really want to be sacrificing your other creatures. It's just kind of awkward. I'm not sure how this could work. Ochre Jelly. Ochre? I don't know. The jelly. The jelly gains ward. It says exile effects for 2 goods. We've got the, the March and other things like that. They can just kind of exile it. The ward ability there makes it a little bit more taxing. I kind of like that. Yeah, let's talk about Vanishing Verse, Skyclave Apparition, those things as well do really well against this card. So now they can kind of are a little bit less efficient. So if you just jam this on, turn 3, your opponent can just Skyclave it and work. Oran Reef Ooze. Oh, I'm really excited about this. This is a card that I have been enjoying kind of playing at like a little bit of budget decks, just trying to do my quests. So any kind of green deck I just play, just jam some of those in it and just go attacking. So now it's changed to be on each creature you control instead of each attacking creature. This I really, really like. It says Oran Reef Ooze has a significant deck building restriction. We felt it did not need the additional restriction of having to have creatures attack alongside it. Yeah, I really, really like that. So like, if you have Rangers class, which you have to attack to put a counter on something, Oran Reef Ooze was the same thing but felt a little bit weaker. So I don't know. I guess I don't agree with the deck building restriction aspect. You kind of just need to be playing creatures in order for it to work. But I like this a little bit better, where you can kind of put counters on it, or even like somehow make this really, really big and then put counters on your other things, so it can kind of snowball. So yeah, I really, really like that. Tanazir Quandrix. Interesting that they're buffing this card. I felt like this card was pretty strong already. It just like didn't really have a good home. I don't know. But now it's being buffed to be a 5/5. That's it. Okay. It says better defensive against the 4-power dragons and angels and other flying creatures. I guess that makes sense. I guess because like, yeah, I mean that's fine. I don't kind of see that, because I feel like if you're playing this, you're playing it in an aggressive deck. But I guess you can have it come down, block with it, and have it live, and then start attacking. Maybe. Ooh, instant sorceries and wizards. Ooh, I'm excited about this. Love me some of this. Ardent Dust Speaker, being reduced by 2 mana, and is now a 3/2 instead of a 3/4. When it attacks, put an instant sorcery graveyard on the bottom of your library. If you do exile the top 2 cards of your library, you may play those cards this turn. Interesting. So you kind of get a little bit of a expressive iteration kind of effect, or light up the stage kind of effect. If you are casting instants and able to attack with this, I kind of like that. You complete this on 3, play a removal spell on turn 4, and then attack with it, and get the rest of your spells with the 3 mana. You can play a land off of this. So yeah, I'm really interested to see if that starts seeing some play. We got Maelstrom Muse, now being reduced from 4 mana to 3 mana, so just reducing that 1 colorless on the end, so still have to pay all that colored mana, but otherwise remaining unchanged. I don't think this really, I guess 3 mana 2/4 is fine. It's got flying, and then when it attacks, it can make spells cost less. I'm just still not sure how good this is, but maybe it's fine. I'm sure maybe there's a home for it somewhere. Rockslide Sorcerer, going down 1 mana, but also going down in power and toughness. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery or a wizard, deals 1 damage to any target. Ooh, interesting. I like that. It's kind of like a little bit of like a young pyromancer kind of feel, where you can just like flurry off a bunch of spells and start killing your opponent or dealing a bunch of damage. I kind of like that. I kind of want to play this with some cantrips. See how that goes. Tome Shredder. So this is, I guess, used to be a 3 mana 2/1. with all this stuff, and now it's being reduced to 2 mana, and is now a 2/1 instead of a 2/2. So what does it do? It has haste, and you can tap it, exile an instant sorcery from your graveyard, put a counter on it. Interesting. Interesting. So this is kind of be good to play on turn. Like you play a 1 mana spell on turn 1, play something on turn 2. You activate this, and you have a 3/2. Yeah, I'm still not sold on this. Especially because it has to tap to activate its ability. Seems kind of weak still. But I guess if it can't attack, then you do this. Yeah, I don't know. This is also feels really awkward. All right, Master of Winds. Oh, this is another card that like was really really bad for a while. All right, so now it's getting an additional point of toughness. Triggered ability changes. It's from base power and toughness become 5/1 or 1/5 until end. Okay, so I understand. Okay, so when you cast an instant sorcery or a wizard spell, you can have its base power toughness switch. So if you buff it or anything like that, you cast any spells like that, it'll keep that power buff instead of just setting its power and toughness to that. So that seems interesting, but again, making it become a 5/1 and like not buffing its toughness, it seems really fragile. And again, that really wasn't dated. Just like that benefit of turning it, switching its power toughness, it doesn't really seem like a good enough payoff for a 4 mana card. I don't think this is doing anything. All right, we've got Mentor's Guidance, which is now being reduced in mana by 1. So it used to be 3 mana, now it's 2 mana. When you cast a spell, copy it if you control a Planeswalker, Cleric, Druid, Shaman, Warlock, or Wizard. Interesting. So it's scry 1, then draw a card twice if we have a Wizard. Or just any of these other things. Interesting. So like also if you are just like playing a lot of Planeswalkers, you could just like play this in your deck as like a 2 mana draw 2. Cool. Seems kind of good. And it talks about these opposing to things like Of One Mind, Charter Course, and Winged Words. So instead of wizards or any of these other decks relying on those, we could use Mentor's Guidance instead. I really like that. I like giving decks a variety of options. Of One Mind was kind of working a while for the kind of young Pyromancer decks, or in Historic, and in other decks in Alchemy. Or sorry, this isn't in Alchemy anymore. But you know what I mean. All right, and then we've got a buff here to Rowan and Will. Loyalty looks like it's going up, as well as the ultimates. Just kind of both of them just going up in loyalty and all that, which just gives them some more survivability. So fine. Ooh, Sorcerer's Class. I'm really excited by this. Okay, so cost for level 3 now 1 blue red instead of the full 5. Wow, okay. This seems kind of crazy. So you play it, you draw 2, discard 2, not amazing. But then you can pay 2, and then all your creatures now generate mana, and then just immediately after that, if you have enough creatures, which I guess you probably don't, but or just like the next turn, like on turn 3, you play this, and then you can just like flurry off a bunch of spells and just start dealing a bunch of damage. Really like that. Yeah, so there's a more consistent win condition given its high deck building cost. Yeah, it's so hard to do this, to just like flurry off a bunch of spells reliably. So yeah, I really like that, and it's a pretty big buff. I'm definitely want to try this out, but I don't know if it's gonna work. I'm gonna be honest. All right, we've got Umara Mystic here, which is gaining haste. I guess just letting it be more aggressive, so you can play this. You could just attack for 1, or you can play it on turn 4, cast a 1 mana spell, and hit them for 3. It also works. I forgot. This also works with wizard spells. So yeah, you could just like play this in just a wizard tribal. Interesting. I kind of like that. It's a minor buff, but this. I don't know how close this card was to being playable, but yeah. Let's see, quality of life changes. So these aren't really like nerfs or buffs or anything. I think it's just adding anything, anything confusing. So in this case, Painful Bond says, used to say, because cards in your hands is when you cast the spell, you lose 1 life. And so if it happened to your lands, that would be confusing because you don't cast lands. So yeah, now it says non-lands. That makes a lot of sense. So like that one, Obscura Polymorphous, now saying up to 1. So let's see, this was when it enters the battlefield, exile 1 target creature, its controller seeks a creature. Yeah, so this was if you don't want to exile a creature. So actually, yeah, because also if you just played it on its own, that would not be good because it would exile itself and then you would seek a creature card. I guess that seems like kind of fine to be forced to do that, but yeah, I really like this. Good changes all around in terms of quality of life and the buffs. Yeah, again, some of these again typically don't do anything. That's fine. People enjoy playing with the buffed cards, like good for them. But yeah, I don't see a couple of these. Like again, the land seems still really bad. Yeah, in terms of the nerfs here, really glad to see Cat gone. Hate that. Hated Meat Hook Massacre. I'm sad to see these go. Again, everybody knows, I think, who watches some of my videos, how much I like Dragon Rage Channeler and Unholy Hater playing those style of decks. But I will live. I will live if it means a better format. And I think this was good. Again, shaking up both Alchemy and Historic. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of play Historic again, see what it's like now. And yeah, otherwise, everything seems pretty good. Again, how do you guys feel about these nerfs? Let me know down in the comments below. But otherwise, that's going to do it for the video. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, remember, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It would really help me out. And again, I'm putting out content constantly for Arena. And yeah, all right, guys, I will see you for the next video.